What's up everyone, welcome to today's video, welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. So we just got some news that Hogwarts Legacy is getting some form of a delay, and this is in regard to the last generation of consoles. This actually does suck, but at the end of the day, this is what I think is probably best from the developer's perspective and for the player's own benefit. I'll go ahead and give a little bit more in terms of technical aspects regarding this particular news that we just got, because it must be put in this context, and I wish the developers had probably gone ahead to make a specific move before now, when the game is probably getting very close to its release and they're seeing that it is probably at this moment not possible to launch a last gen version of Hogwarts Legacy. Now, the news that they actually announced was actually here on Twitter, and we're going to go ahead and take a look at it and exactly what the developers or their marketing team has said. So they went ahead to say Hogwarts Legacy will launch on April 4th, 2023 for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and on July 25th, 2023 for Nintendo Switch. The team is looking forward to bringing you the game, and we want to deliver the best possible gaming experience across all platforms. They also said, we understand that there could be questions around the impacts of the delay of a PS4 and Xbox One. For more questions, you go to the FAQs. The game is, however, going to be launching on a PS5 and Xbox Series X and S on PC as well on February the 10th, 2023, with a 72-hour early access beginning on 7th of February, 2023. There are still concerns that people have, and some people have said, this is a shame because the last gen consoles are getting their own delay rather than getting the game day one. And I can understand a whole lot of this stuff because I have seen it, and in following video games, you really have to follow context and consistency. So from the developer's perspective, they get the time that's needed to balance out this version and give you the best possible version. From the player benefit, you do not have a situation like Cyberpunk 2077, which pretty much needed a 21-day extra time frame and got it, but was not able to nail down the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series versions. Most of you remember there was a time that the developers actually did put this particular notification. This was in 2020, October 27th. Their CEO wrote, "We've decided to move the release date of Cyberpunk 2077, by 21 days. The new release date is December 10th. Most likely there are many emotions and questions." And then he said this, "The biggest challenge for us right now, you might as well just scratch off the CD Projekt Red logo here and literally stamp in Avalanche and Portkey Games, and you're going to be able to read this and say, the biggest challenge for us, Avalanche and Portkey Games right now, is shipping the game on current gen, next gen, and PC at the same time, which requires us to prepare and test maybe not 9, multiple versions in terms of the compatibility. So Xbox One X and S, Xbox Series S and X, PS4 Pro, and PS4 compatibility on PS5. PC, they're not doing Stadia that we know of. Stadia is no longer, existent. And he says, while working from home, this was probably a lot of their issues. Now, at this rate, no one is really emphasizing working from home, but this is still a reality that the technical aspects of multiple balances are going to hold back a video game like this. For most of you who've been following my channel, we've been talking about game development. The ambition of these new video games nowadays are actually scaling way more than a lot of the past generation consoles can actually hold. It's just what it is. You get to a point where 2013 laptops, that's pretty much the technology of the PlayStation 4, are unable to go ahead and carry games that are built and designed to come out in 2022. So you look at a lot of that ambition. You also look at some other aspects, like they were developing Hogwarts Legacy most likely for the past generation of consoles. It's been in development for about 5 years, and somewhere in that development cycle, they received the new units or the developer units of the PS5 and the Xbox. If you actually compare as well to Cyberpunk 2077, you'll notice that the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5 versions, they ran very well at launch compared to the PlayStation 4 version, which was terrible and had to be taken down from the PlayStation Store. I'm sure the developers are doing the right thing here and do not want that to happen to their fans. They don't want you to get a game that is trash. And also, they don't want you to get your own version of the game canceled, like in the case of Gotham Knights, which at that time, it sounded painful. Even the PS5 and PC versions of Gotham Knights had a lot of problems with them at launch in terms of their stability. But eventually, they were able to patch out everything in about a month, but you can see how that probably would not have been the possibility for the past gen consoles. They would have needed a lot more time, because when you're making a game for those consoles, you really have to make a different version of the game. I kid you not, because you're going to have to deal with maybe textures that you're reducing quality of, you're reducing distance viewing, a lot of different things are being done to that game. And then you're also not only going to be making those sacrifices, you have to try and match them so that they don't look extremely, different. That you'd want to reduce the amount of noticeable discrepancies between them. So when you actually dial this in, this is what I think the problem is. The devs are stuck between a rock and a hard place. So which would you rather, that they delay the entire project, or that they delay the projects that are actually good to go and allow for time to be able to finish up the projects that people can still get their hands on later on? Myself, I've decided that I was going to play the PC version of the game. I thought this was probably going to be the better place to play for the meantime, even though they have the exclusivity going on the PlayStation version. This kind of also still sucks because now, even if they have a 1-year timed exclusive item, you on the PlayStation 4 have been, by technical issues, been delayed by a few months. And so that doesn't even really serve you well at this time. I think the conversation needs to be had right now. The new generation of consoles have been out for at least over 2 years with a little bit of change. And so I think developers right now are in a position where if their games don't necessarily require too much in terms of hardware processing, they can be comfortable in terms of going with the old generation. So continue to serve that audience. There's nothing wrong with that. Street Fighter 6, which is a fighting game, and I'm sure most other fighting games which can actually play those games at 60 FPS without any problems are going to continue serving their audiences, no doubt. But then when it comes to these action adventure games, these games that require a lot more, and please don't bring that Spider-Man talk to me, because Spider-Man's world is actually very, very craftily designed to make you think you're actually doing a lot, when in reality, it's kind of a generic mesh in terms of the way they've done the buildings, and they've done it in a very nice way. Don't get me wrong, Insomniac is really brilliant in the way they put it together, but it is not like all these other worlds that you see out there. Another thing too is expertise might also be some of the hiccups, because you also have worlds like, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor that are big, and, they have all these interactions that Monolith was able to put together. But again, Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War do not have a lot of the different elements that Hogwarts Legacy has. It is a very different game, magic based, a lot of effects, a lot of animations, a lot of different parameters, AI. And so these things get super complex, where even if I try to compare one game that's, with some similarities to Hogwarts Legacy being able to run on the different platforms, I still cannot in good, conscience do it, because those differences must be highlighted and taken into consideration. So this is where we stand right now. I'd love for you to go ahead and react to this. Thank you so much for your time and audience. I'd love to really, really hear your thoughts in the comment section, and hopefully we'll continue having this conversation in another video. Thanks so much, and peace out.